Sorry, folks, and thanks for bearing with me. Daniel, did you come in? Hey, Tyler.
Yep, no, I'm here.
Okay, there it is. All right, you found it. Daniel didn't come in. Alex Dominguez didn't come in. Tyler's here on Z for Zoom. Alex Gutierrez is here. Eric Hugo. Here. You have a brother named Victor? Flavio. Here. Evan. Here. Frank Mannix. Here. Do you remember, you're not old enough, but there was a show called Mannix. Yeah.
Well, sure. Joe Mannix.
It was great. My dad was just enamored of that show.
The secretary was Peggy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Jacob Miller, I think, is a drop. Him on the drop. Matthias. Maybe Matthias could show up. Hey, Tyler, let's see your face, man.
Yeah, let me see if I can get my monitor shuffled around. Get like a webcam.
Say it again,
open.
please.
My monitor that I normally use doesn't have webcam, but my laptop does. So I'll just shuffle on my desk and see if I can get it working.
Okay, see if you can. That'd be great. See your face. Jacob's Matthias is not here. Give me a Matthias. Hudson Moyne. Arian Ramirez. Jose Ramirez. Are you guys related?
Yeah.
Yeah? You brothers?
Yeah.
Are you guys twins? It's the masks. Joel Santos.
Here.
Okay, so has Jacob dropped? Yeah, there's Tyler. Hey, Tyler. Alex showed up. Daniel Delgado showed up. No. Okay, cool. So Tyler's are one. I'm gonna just pin me. Get you out of here, Tyler. Get you off. Nobody has to see you anyway. Let me. Okay. Some of you know me. Some of you don't. So that syllabus, I'll project the syllabus and we'll go over some stuff. I made some notes. I met with Jim today, but my contact info will be on the syllabus. And contacting me through pipeline is an okay way to go, but make it your last way in contact. First, contact me by phone. You can text or call me. And secondly, by my email that I'm going to write up here, which is also part of the syllabus with my personal email. And then you can try me on pipeline because I only check pipeline maybe once a year. So my name is Rodney. I am a retired general contractor and cabinet maker millwork guy. I have and still have an active B1 and a C with a C6 license, California contractor's license. B1 is my California general contractor's license, and C6 is my cabinet making, millwork, and finished carpentry license. So, I think I'm pretty sure I'm RD at. Anybody take your temperature, Frank? You're okay?
Yeah, I just inhaled some of my coffee. That's all.
Inhale, that happens. Pipeline.spcc.edu. And then my personal email, my best email is Lester's. You don't have to write it in down because this will be on the solution. We'll pull it up on Canvas. And my telephone number is 805 331 9267. Now, who can define, or how would you define commitment? Anybody, just, how would you define commitment? Alex made it. Anybody, did Daniel Delgado come in? No? How about Jacob's gone? Daniel Delgado's, oh wait, what about Matthias Moe, Hudson Moyne? No? So how would you define commitment? Somebody must have a definition for commitment. What does commitment mean? Flavio, what does commitment mean?
Being able to put in the time like when required to.
It's good being able to be somewhere when you're required to. So I define commitment as doing something that you said you'd do, even if you don't want to. So is everyone here committed to coming to this class on Wednesdays and Saturdays? We'll just make it easy. Raise your hand if you're not committed, okay? I don't see any raised hands, and give it a couple seconds. So I'm gonna take that as that everyone is committed to showing up for class on Wednesday for the lecture, Saturdays for the lab. Is that correct? Head bobs, yeah, everybody's committed. Okay, so I have your commitment. So we have an agreement right now. And I totally believe you, every one of you, that you're committed to come. And it's easy stuff, right? That's why you signed up for the class. If you can't come, stuff does come up. And if you're going to be late or majorly late, not just a few minutes late, would you please communicate with me? Can I get head bobs on that one? That's a reasonable request, right? So please communicate with me and try to communicate with me as early as you possibly can. Just let me know. Let me know with email, text. If you need to call me, that's okay too. Just say, hey, you tell me why you won't be there or why you'll be late. And then we'll be fine. And then I'm pretty lenient, so you'll more than likely get an excused absence. And I'm not sure how Jim grades. We've just been experimenting co-teaching class. I think this is our second, maybe our third one. And I've let him do the grading. And on the last one, I graded, and then he blended those. So let me tell you how I grade. I grade on 5 things that are worth 20 points each on a scale of 100. And I grade on the 2 exams that I would give you, a midterm and a final. Now, Jim's got some wacky ideas about exams. He may want to throw in some what he calls quizzes. The last quiz was 110 questions. I don't know how you call that quiz. Quizzes and exams. He likes them, and he may throw some quizzes and exams out at you. But I grade on a midterm and a final, 20% each, 20 points each. So based on, my midterms and finals are both fairly simple. They're 50 questions, they're 2 points each. So let's just say you got 80%. That's 16 points. And on your midterm, you got 90%. That's 18 points. See that? So the other 3 things, the other 60% is attendance, attitude, and participation. Now I can't judge your attitude if you're not here. So attendance and attitude are, so you're not here, you lose in the attitude part too. And you can't participate if you're not here either. So really by coming here, and it's kind of like life. And I will get off topic a lot. And I will talk about soft skills, and I will talk about life, and I'll talk about my life. But like life, showing up is more than half the battle. Just showing up. So if you show up to this class and you're awake and you have a pulse, you show up to every class. That's you just got 60%. And if you don't show up with a bad attitude, if I don't think you show up with a bad attitude, and you're willing to participate, and listen, participation is maybe asking a question, maybe answering a question. Eye contact is participation. So if you show up you'll do great. You could flunk both, you could get, 50% on both the tests. That'll give you 10 points on each one of those, plus your solid 60 for showing up to every class. That's a B minus. For just showing up and failing the midterm and the final. Okay. I don't expect to teach anybody anything in here. I'm just going to present you with some information and try to keep it on track. We're going to be teaching right off this book. Jim said the 12th edition, 13th edition. If you haven't bought the book, buy the 13th edition. If you bought the 12th edition, that's okay. We'll make it work. They're pretty similar. There's not a whole lot of deviation. And chapters are even the same up to a point. So there won't be a lot of deviation. But if you haven't bought the book, buy 13. Get 13. It's a good book to have. Get the hardbound. Get the book. It's expensive, but it's a good one for your library. If you have, it'll be something that you could use for carpentry questions for a long time. Wednesdays. Every single solitary Wednesday, 6 to 9 is our lecture in this classroom. Lecture number 23. That's this. 24 is the shop, and Saturdays 8:30 to 1. And that's the lab. And number 24. No matter what anything else says, that's when we're having class. And I looked at the calendar and I don't think we don't have any bye days. We don't have any holidays. Other than this Saturday. But Wednesdays, and there's no more Wednesdays and Saturday holidays. And we'll go chapter by chapter. I know that Jim wants you to do 1 through 12. Wanted us to do a review of the 110, 1 through 12 in the first 2 weeks. And he told me that he got you guys through. James took them through the middle of wall framing. Okay, so we'll try to finish wall framing and then we'll get into, which means he went through floor framing, got to the middle of wall framing. So we'll finish with wall framing. I'll do a little PowerPoint, and then we'll do roof framing, a little PowerPoint, just to familiarize you with it. And then we'll be off to Daniel. Okay. All right. Okay, so the only person I got absent is Matthias and Hudson. Haven't come in, okay, and haven't shown up either. So we got 4 participants, so it's just Tyler. Okay. And so yeah, then we'll start where we'll go from there. I'll get this together here. What's after 12? But so with some luck, we'll be able to do some labs, some of our stuff on the tiny house. Some of the stuff that we're going to do, we're going to do on the tiny house. So we're going to learn some hands-on, knock on wood stuff. Oh, that's part of it. If we can get it together, and that depends on a few things. It really depends on us getting rough. So right now, all right, so you all have had 110, right? No? Some of you have just jumped right into 111. Yeah. So raise your hand if you've had 110. Okay, so not even half of you, close to half have had 110. Which is beginning construction trades. This is still beginning construction trades. It's kind of intro to construction trades, but we get a little more in depth and get into some of the sub trades. And as we go into the sub trades, we're going to do things like insulation and all the stuff that has to do with insulation. We're going to do electrical and everything that has to do with pre-wire and post-wire, all things electrical as well as plumbing, drywall. We'll do different parts of construction. We'll try to show you all the areas, the myriad areas that go into making up the building. And we have a tiny house over there. So I guess Jim took you around on Saturday and showed you the 2-story and the houses that we built here and the structures we built here. And I guess you guys laid out and snapped some lines and did some 3, 4, 5, some Pythagorean formula square corners, and then did a diagonal, get yourself square, and you got all that. That's all great, great knowledge. The tiny house would be really cool if we get in there and do some stuff, but I'm just not sure how much we can do. Jim says that, and when he wants to do the electrical component, which is coming up, he seems to think that we're close enough that we can get roughed in. And for those of you that are wondering what I mean by that, roughed in, a building's services, I'm losing my words, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, which is heating, ventilating, and air conditioning. Those all get roughed in before the walls can be closed up and insulated and drywall. So all the roughs have got to be in. So all the pre-wiring, all the wiring that goes in the walls, all the plumbing that goes in the walls, all of it, so it's stubbed out through the wall. That's all got to be in place and inspected before we can start closing up the walls, insulation, and then the drywall. In this case, we're not going to use drywall in the tiny house. So the roughs aren't done in the tiny house. Electrical is almost done, and I think the class can get the roughs done, ready for us to go, and then we might have to pay to get some a plumbing contractor here to get our plumbing done, because we have too much plumbing to do, and we have some. Jim seems to think we have some substandard plumbing based on some of our students' work. But it's no big deal. Nobody's saying, "Oh, bad students, you did bad work on plumbing." They're not plumbers. And so we want to make sure that the fittings, you don't really want to scrimp or save or cut corners on anything that's buried behind in the walls. You really want to do that well, because when you have a problem when it's in the walls or in the floor in places that you don't see it, it can continue to cause really bad problems that can become really bad before you even notice. So all your stuff, all your rough ins, so it's rough in, stub out, top out. That's plumbing terms. And the plumbing has to be roughed in over there. And then once it is, then we can insulate, and I'll have Dave James here. I'm going to get Dave James here to talk to you guys coming up pretty soon, and I'll tell you who Dave James is in just a second. And I'm going to have somebody else, and the Tyvek guys. So who knows what Tyvek is? What is it, Evan?
Like waterproofing, pretty much like a sheet, almost like plasticky, but on the outside of the house.
Okay, it's not waterproof, and it's technically called house wrap. And it is plasticky. It's made by DuPont Tyvek. Example over here, but these days plans are calling for house wrap. It's pretty much de rigueur. I don't know. I've seen it spectrum. For the most part, I haven't seen any new places that are not done with house wrap. And they have specific ways of wrapping prior to window and door installation, exterior doors, and post interior and exterior door installation, window and exterior door installation. Two different ways to do it, and really tight, but it's not waterproof. The beauty of Tyvek is that you can't take glass water. You can toss a glass of water on it, and it will repel the water. No water will get through it. But water vapor will pass through it. That's the beauty of it. It'll allow water vapor to off gas your house. For what it's worth, you got to have a place for it to go, which is what a weep screen is for. All kinds of stuff. But the type, there's a Tyvek rep, DuPont Tyvek rep will come and he'll do a demo for us. He and usually a couple of guys come and they bring swag, and they have a bunch of handouts, and they'll be very interesting. I guarantee it. If you're interested in building, you'll be interested. And that's the other thing, is that I am really interested in building. I'm 73, I'll be 74 this year. I've been a licensed general contractor since 1981. And prior to that, I was a cabinet maker and a carpenter through most of the 70s. So I've been doing it a long time, and I generally, I haven't done the work physically for a long time either. I mean, I do jump in there and do the work, but generally I've run the work since about sometime in the 80s. But I know a fair lot about construction, not to say I know it at all, because I definitely don't. I know a fair amount, been around a long time, and I'm still really excited about construction. It just blows me away, and virtually all aspects of it. And even more so these days because of SBCC and teaching these classes. For instance, 110, which is the precursor to this class, beginning construction trades, are for lab and for project, we built a shade structure, or we are building a shade structure at the main campus in horticulture. It's a project that Lou Daniels brought to us through Mike Ganella, the acting chair of our department and head of the landscape department. And we planned out a slab, 6'6" by 15 foot, and then we're building a shade structure. And it's a relatively simple structure. I can show you the structure. I have it here. I'll project some stuff in a minute or two. It's a relatively simple structure, but in doing the simple structure, the excavation, concrete forming, the steel and the mat design and tying the steel and doing the whole thing, I came to the realization that as simple as this stuff is, it's just not easy. There's nothing really easy about it. It's just work, it's work, and there's all these things to figure out, and then ways to do it and techniques. And even the smallest, simplest projects are a fair amount of work. And the work shows. And the beauty of this work, of doing this stuff that we do, is that we have a work product that's real and touchable and has value and lasts. Hopefully has value and lasts. It's not some nebulous thing. It's not on paper. It's not on a computer screen, and that's it. It just goes away, and it's not a bunch of talk, and it's not all kinds of stuff that you could be doing for work, and all kinds of stuff you could be making. These are things we make in the real world that facilitate people's lives in all kinds of ways. So, and I've been doing it long enough. I can go back. I can sit in restaurants that I've built, visit homes that I've built, commercial, just all kinds of places. It's just great. They have value and they last. And I was part of it. I participated in it. And some of the best stuff that I've ever done is the stuff that I've dreamed up and then drawn or had drawn and then built, and put together, either built or had built and put together all the components that go into a building, in which there are a lot of components that go into a building. And hopefully you're going to learn all of those. Took roll, right? Who's here to remind me to roll? Special guest, I tell you about Dave James has a company called Insulate Santa Barbara, and he's a really neat guy. He's been doing it a long time. His dad started a business. It's called Santa Barbara Insulation, and they sold it to a big national company, and Dave stayed on for 10 years, and then his non-compete clause was up, so he left that company and started another insulation company. And they're the premier isonine guys in this part of the country. And who knows what isonine is? What's isonine?
Like the spray foam.
Spray foam insulation is exactly what it is. And there's two types. There's closed cell and open cell. 150 weight, 250 weight. And they're wildly different in price. But they're a great way to insulate. And the best thing that they do is they allow you to have a volume ceiling without having to vent the eaves and or every other rafter bay. So what I just said may be complete Greek to some of you. So I'm going to try to explain it. This will all be on that syllabus, which I'll put up too. I'll project it up. So what I've gotten so far on Canvas, so we're all on the same page. In the meantime, I'm talking to you about Dave James and insulation and isonine and closed cell foam. So because on a vaulted ceiling, volume ceiling, when you have to have collar ties. Well, you don't have to have necessarily have collar ties. You can do this with a large ridge beam or something. But the typical house has a ceiling, right? A ceiling joist lay on top of the top plate, double top plate, single bottom plate, single bottom plate, and then you have an unconditioned. So conditioned space, unconditioned space, and an attic. So you typically don't insulate your unconditioned spaces. You insulate in the ceiling joists. When you want a volume ceiling, you want that ceiling, that drop ceiling, to go away, and you want to vault the ceiling. And there's a variety of ways to vault it, but whenever there's volume, and now you just have rafters. Right? Pretty big ridge. When you insulate this with bad insulation, you set up a condition where air is trapped in there, and you have really hot potential up here and cooler potential here. And so what happens to the air that's trapped in there? Anybody? Starts with a C.
Convection.
Condensation. Condenses, get moisture. You start seeing nail pops, start seeing rusty screws on your drywall. All this stuff has been happening. So it's been about 10 years. Powers that be have said that to mitigate this, we need to do a couple of things. There's a couple of things we have to do. So we have to, every bay, we have to have a vent in the freeze block to allow. So we needed to take, we got to get at least R30 in there, which I can't remember the thickness. It's 7.5 inches, I think. So we needed to get 2 inches over. So if a 2x10 rafter would do it, we needed a 2x12. If a 2x8 rafter would do it, we need a 2x10. We need 2 inches of get airspace, so air can travel out of there. You can go through the vent in the freeze block, and then the eaves are vented. So each eave is vented, and then for a while there, you could diamond notch like every 2 feet or 3 feet. Can't remember exactly. 4 feet, bay to bay. So you could have air transfer bay to bay. So you could every other bay you had to vent. But you still have to work on venting. You have to have bigger rafters. You have to have that space for the air to travel. You can't just cram it for insulation. All this stuff, right? We had to jump through a bunch of hoops. Now, what does jumping through hoops cause builders? Causes them to increase costs. It just made it cost more. And who pays for increased costs? Do the builders pay for the increased costs? No. Builders don't pay for increased costs unless they can't help it. Consumers. Consumers pay for that. So if you have a vaulted ceiling, you don't want to go through all that. have to vent every other bay or vent every bay and do all the stuff and jump through all the hoops you gotta do. And, attic vent or you can do rich vents and such like that. If you just fill this guy up with icing, closed cell insulation, you're good. You don't have to vent. Now, I can't tell you the physics, the science on that, but Dave will tell you exactly why that happens. What I can tell you is that if you fill it up with icing, you can have a volume ceiling and you don't have to vent through that. It's great.
You don't need vents on the eaves?
Say again, please?
No vents on the.
No, you don't have to vent anything. You don't have to vent squat. You don't vent. There's nothing to vent. It's completely filled up with closed cell foam. So, yes, icing. Oh, did you guys see that? It's Tyler. All right, where are we? Hood framing, mirrored wall. All right, let's go see what I got. What I put up on our shell. I'll be developing this shell as we go along. And you should be able to look at the canvas shell. Prior to class every week and see what's up. Okay, so here's our dashboard. There's this shell. So if you were to go on Zoom, want to go on Zoom? Yes.
We can't see it.
No, it'll be here any second now. This I forgot. This is the one that's got the lag time. No, you're on. Display is on. Doesn't look like it is going to go, though, does it?
Yeah, it's saying, like, no,
Yeah, I read that same thing, amazingly enough. Yeah, display says on. Usually that happens and then bam, this thing comes on, but this computer failed not that long ago. And then I guess Warren. No, Jim had dot cam pushed on here. That's the dot cam. Well, it doesn't look like we're going to get to see it, are we? So Tyler can see it though, right?
Yep, I can see it.
I'll try this one more time. Something I'm not. It should be as simple as display on. It's flashing. You should wonder what I'm looking at. It's flashing, and I can't figure out what the heck is going on. It's just flashing. Do we have any IT mavens here? Hey, were you able to get the display working in 23? Did you have to do anything special? Because I put this push display and the Hitachi came up. It said no input detected. So. Yeah. It was on dot cam when it came in, but it's on PC now. It's been on PC since I started. Yeah, maybe that's it. Because the display's now stopped flashing. I'll put it on, but that's all you know, right? So you didn't use it last week. Okay. Okay, well, we'll monitor through, we'll call Warren if we can get it up, okay? Okay, later, bud. Yeah, okay. Bye. I'm glad I didn't hear that, bye. It's funny. Yeah, see, that comes up, that's been coming up for a long time. And then it should come up. Okay, so the screen I'm looking at, you guys are all familiar with Canvas, right? Everybody's familiar, you know how to get onto Canvas, okay? So when you go into Canvas, just if you click on syllabus, I'm gonna click on syllabus now, and you won't see the syllabus there. And the reason for that is I don't know why you can't see it there. I tried to put it there, but instead it's got the class schedule up. So if you go to home or modules, either one will bring up the weeks. So right now, look at Wednesday week 1, Wednesday lecture. I'll put up, Jim and I will put up his Zoom recording. And then this is week 2. I don't know that we're going to have any of the labs on here on Canvas, but week 2 is up here, and it's where the syllabus is right now. So click on the syllabus. You guys can all do this at home. So I'll have that fixed by next week for sure. But your syllabus, tells you Gemini's names. It tells you that stuff I wrote you up on the board. It tells you both of our emails, including my personal email. It tells you the 13th edition, not the 12th. Gives you Jim's office hours. I haven't put mine in here yet. I've got to spend a little bit of time on this. But here we are at week 2, February 16th. Lecture. Continue to review framing, and then read chapter 30, do the ROs. That's interesting. Let's see what that is. Anybody been reading the book? Read 12? No?
I mean, we did for one time last semester.
Right. So 30 is building decks and porches. I want you to do the review. Okay, so sounds like y'all got homework. And by the way, in case you don't know me, you will never get homework from me, ever in a bajillion years. So if you get any homework, it's coming from Jim Cunningham. So if there's anybody to get PO'd about homework, it's Jim, not me. I don't believe in it. Plus, I don't think you'll do it. It's been my experience of 13 years of doing this, is that the classes I teach in the CT trade that are, for the most part, in the evenings, one of you might do the homework, 2 on the outside. So, and that's not, I don't mean to be disrespectful to students. I just find that they just don't do the homework. They're busy with their lives and their jobs and their families and all this stuff. And I'm really glad you can come and do this. And I want your time when you're here. When you're not here, I want you to read. I really want you to read. You'll be ahead of it if you read. And so the RO, I think he must mean is the read. Oh, so he means RQs. Yeah, it looks like a, so that's the review questions. Chapter review, know and understand. You know, there's only 17 questions, so I would do that. Chapter 30 is a good one. So this syllabus is now up in Canvas, so you can go look at it whenever you want to and check it out, and it'll be tweaked as we go along slightly, but
I wonder if he meant chapter 30 in the 12th edition. That's electrical. That's what we were thinking.
what is it in 12? What is in 12?
29 section porches, but we went over that in 110. Chapter 30 is electrical wiring. And that's
Okay, that's what it
we're
is.
going into.
That's definitely what it is, because he's going right into 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, chapter 3, electrical wires. Right on, that's right, because Jim had 12 up here. That's definitely what he meant. He wants you to read electrical wiring and I'll let him go through electrical wiring with you probably next Wednesday, and we'll continue to review framing. And I'm going to try to hold us to 45 minutes sort of at a whack and then take a break. So take a break until 7 o'clock, come back at 7 o'clock, please. Breaking now until 7. Got that, Tyler?
This time I used to already.
Yeah, it sucks when it doesn't work when you're presenting.
When what? Yeah,
When you're
yeah.
presenting.
it's really- Oh, your divining rods looks like.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm right in the middle of teaching a class, but I just put them on break. So, did you need to tell me anything besides just menus and dough? Yeah, how much do you tell me? 95, that gets me the gain and the looking. Venmo. Yeah, and you're at there as Garth Price. I think you picture that. And then at sorry, thanks, Garth. See you tomorrow. Okay, thanks, Bill. Will do. See you later.
Rodney, were you on the Sierras last week?
No, we were in Yuma.
Oh, nice. Oh, Arizona.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, James did say that.
Palm Springs and Yuma, and then Palm Springs. Now we're at Rancho Oso.
Nice. How was it out there?
Rancho Oso?
At Yuma.
It's an interesting place.
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you guys a little bit about it when you come back. I'll mention a couple of things. It's a place for snowbirds. They have 333 days of sun a year.
Wow.
in Yuma. Pretty cool. Yeah, it has some cool parts. Sioux Golf. What's Bing? Parking.
Are you gonna share with Alec your story from last night?
Which one?
The what is the fast food joint called?
The ice cream.
Oh, Freddy's?
Yeah, are you gonna share that story?
Could if you want. Hey. Easy. Okay. So, Matthias and Hudson.
I wonder if Matthias was trying to go on Zoom.
Well, he didn't make it.
Yeah. That's a shame.
So what do you see? Anything?
I don't know, I think,
Because it's off now.
right,
You hit it off, and this thing has worked like a charm forever, and it's never not worked. But
but the back was opened up,
they blew up, and this thing blew up.
yeah.
We'll blow it back. So, God dang it. External project. Oh, it'll be fine.
It's kind of different to the ones that I've worked at or worked with in the past. This one's a little more complex.
Yeah. Maybe Warren. Warren can tell me.
Man, that guy's got a tough job.
Warren?
Yeah.
You know what Warren's name is? His last name?
No, I don't know. Oh, wait, no, I do. He's got a cool last name.
Yeah, Warren Fails.
Fails.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird. Of course, that would definitely not be. Warren Fails. So
Yeah.
weird, man.
How ironic. for an
Well,
IT
look, I
guy.
just hit Warren Fails, and that's what it dialed.
Oh, weird.
20-digit number. Warren IT. Yeah, this, I guess this hard drive crashed.
I mean, that's his job, right? Is just running, putting out fire to fire.
Warren, run me out. Hey, I'm in classroom 23, and the projector's not working. It's projecting and just has the Hitachi logo. So is there something you know that I don't? Or something we can help you with? I'll look for you to call if you can. Thanks, bye. Well, shoot, it's gonna make it tough.
You know what we should do instead?
What?
Make some sawdust.
No. Where? Over here? This is the lecture part. This is where I get to put my feet up. Oh, something wasted last night. I don't know what. And then I guess this is the class that will do the structure.
Oh, okay.
I think the weekend after this. Yeah, I think a week from Saturday. I think.
We're gonna go over to
Yeah.
ET, main
Yeah.
campus.
I hope the roofing materials are still there. I've just been thinking about that. I'm like, I think they're still there. I need to look.
I'll lean them up against that.
That
Yeah.
portable right there, right?
Yeah.
I was
Did they-
there
did they
today.
move the
I got
portable?
I got the ground guys to drop us off some wood chips right there, and I'm trying to think if they're still there or not.
They're there. But let me know for sure tomorrow.
I'll have to check tomorrow, yeah.
No, so I think next Saturday or the Saturday after. Not this coming Saturday, but the following.
We still have to route those pieces before we bring them over, right?
Yeah, so maybe if we don't go, because we don't have class this Saturday, then next Saturday lab, maybe that lab will do all the chamfers and stuff like that here. And another Saturday will be.
It all looks really nice, but I was there today using the sink,
Oh, yeah,
yeah. So it's really
we'll
nice.
we'll get it up. It'll be great. And I think Daniel's cut will be fine. Let's get into it.
uh,
I'll think this shit up. Really. It's gonna be up high. But I'm gonna stick there just so that nobody can.
what do you think? Just put it in the middle?
Pardon me?
Put it in the middle?
No, until we put it outside. We'll see, we'll see all this.
Gonna have to come up with the next project after that, or is the next project a tiny one?
I don't know, dropping it. I don't know if we really finish with three.
And you're all finishing that to sell it?
Some doctor wants to buy it.
Yeah, okay.
I don't ever want to finish it. And I don't ever want to sell it. But when we do get it finished, we'll see that we have a lot of people interested in it.
Huh.
Lots. I mean, multiple people. We're asking you to buy a house you can live in for 30,000 to 40,000 bucks.
Yeah, that's so
With
cute.
a with pretty good systems and a loft and split, mini split. There's Matthias Mo. Hey, glad you made it, bud. Did Hudson make it? Hudson Moyne? Hudson Moyne didn't make it?
Are we still wearing the mask?
Yeah. You need one? There's, you need one?
Yeah, dude.
I'll get, Lou, would you go get him a mask out of 24? There's a box. So you live in the valley, right?
Huh?
You live in the valley? You live in the valley?
No, it's Henry.
No. I thought you lived in the valley. Okay. Just made it. So you see, you guys all see how late Matthias is? Come, even if you're an hour late, come, and you're here. There's an X by your name rather than a big A for half a cent. And by the way, I have something called ARCD. Who knows what that is? Pardon
Age-related cognitive. Well, you told us yesterday.
me? Yes, age-related cognitive decline. Some people know it as CRS. Can't remember stuff. So occasionally I might drop my train of thought. It's that bad. And so I might be asking you to remind me. It's getting so bad that I've taken to writing stuff down when I leave a room to go into another. So I'm not standing in the room I got to wondering why I'm there.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. You start losing it. It all breaks down. Slows down. Yeah, and so, hey, what happened on the 16th? Anybody know about the 16th? But, you know, aren't we supposed to not be able to have to wear masks on the 16th?
I think Santa Barbara County is still,
Is that California wide? Because I remember getting the email.
I think it's California, but Santa Barbara is
But
more.
they leave it to the individual counties to dictate what the mandates are and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah.
I went into an irrigation store today and everybody working there was
Our restaurant that I'm working at right now.
No? Which restaurant?
All of it.
All the businesses?
Yeah.
Olive Garden?
Olive Garden.
Oliver's.
Oh, I heard all businesses.
Yeah, supposedly they're gone. Okay, we're back, right? Everybody's back. And we couldn't get this thing to project, could we? I'm gonna try it one last time, just maybe third time's a charm, just press display on. You know, maybe I'm not project, I'm sharing, right? I know, sharing. Yeah. I am sharing. Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking at Canvas, looking at week 2, as I said, just do the review questions for chapter 30. It's 30 and 12. If you've got 12, 31, I'm sorry, if you've got 13 or if you're getting 13, it's probably 31 or 29. Let's see. Yeah, and I plan to do this PowerPoint with you, which makes this kind of tough to do. Yeah, so, okay, so we're it's 31 in chapter 13. Electrical one. Any questions so far? No? Okay. Oh, okay, so he goes into that. Yeah, there he goes. All right. So you guys haven't seen the syllabus. Nobody's here seen the syllabus yet. You should be looking at it right now. But you'll have to go on Canvas to look at it. So so everything I told you about how this class is graded, forget I said that. Jim has already put it together. He's got your final exam is going to be 30% of your grade. Your homework, which I told you I wouldn't give any, and I'm not giving it, is going to be 20% of your grade. Quizzes will be 20% of your grade. He plans to give 2 quizzes, 10% on each one, and then labs and participation will be 30%. So I'm going to be, so I get to give you 30% of your grade. That's all you're going to get from me. It's 30%. Jim's going to be responsible for the other 70%. But I'll contribute questions and stuff like that. So, that's how it's going to come down. And grading, final exam, that's on here. Final exam will be May 4th, week 13. And then Jim puts, and then we have the SPS stuff on here for anybody that needs it, the notices. And then our goal is for you to succeed. We will try to make ourselves available before and after class, and we will try to set up homework or study groups with your fellow classmates. Okay. Constantly learning new things from other people, and part of the learning process here will be the experience of interacting with your fellow classmates. If you need to make any kind of arrangements, please email me and I'll try to make it work. That's for Jim. Okay. So one thing that I do, every single class that I teach in construction tech is I have a safety meeting, a tailgate safety meeting, which happens way before this. You take roll and have the safety meeting. I'm just trying to get it together. And on Canvas, you'll see the syllabus is in there. Week 2, Wednesday lecture, 2/16/22, and then safety meeting, the deadly dozen. Since I didn't print it and I can't project it, I'll be reading it. Typically, it's projected and I ask different people to read, and then we have a discussion, usually not much of a discussion, and talk about it. No, don't do that. Get away from me. So, do you guys know about tailgate safety meetings? Anybody? I'm a licensed general contractor. To be a licensed general contractor in the state of California, you need to do a few things. One of the things you need to do is if you have any employees whatsoever, you need to have workers' compensation insurance. You also need to have liability insurance. If you have employees, you have workers' compensation insurance, and your workers' compensation insurance requires that you have a tailgate safety meeting once every 10 days minimum. Every 10 working days, you need to have a tailgate safety meeting. So get used to having safety meetings. And if you're not having them where you work, encourage your boss. Ask him, what's up, man? We're gonna have a safety meeting. They're called tailgate safety meetings because you gather up at a certain day and you have a topic and you kick it around. And everybody's thinking about safety. And the reason, there's more than one reason, but the main reason that I have a safety meeting and talk about safety, especially initially when we start a class, and point out that in the real world and on job sites, you have tailgate safety meetings, is because safety is the most important thing about this whole trade. The most important thing about the trade is not getting the job done. It's not getting paid. It's not making money. It's not all the myriad things. It's doing it safely and not getting yourself or anybody else hurt. That's the most important thing. And then everything else follows after that, because it's a very dangerous job. The building trades is dangerous. There are so many ways to get hurt. I can't even tell you. This is doing this. Do not show me this machine again, ever. Okay. All right, I'll get this up here. So this is called the Deadly Dozen. It's from I don't know if I'll, this is kind of, I keep getting this thing in there. It's from okay, great. We'll continue with Google. All right, sorry. This is a new it's a new source for tailgate safety stuff. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Maybe finally. Can't get this bleeding thing to open up. Okay. Hey, Tyler, are you still there? Okay.
Yep, I'm still here.
The Deadly Dozen. So this is from I think it's a site called Toolbox Box. It's got some pretty good stuff. So the Deadly Dozen. We all know there must be a cause for an accident to happen. In order to avoid accidents, we must remove the cause. Every cause is a result of an unsafe act or unsafe condition. What's my definition of safety? Lou?
It's
what's my definition?
knowing where all your limbs are at all times.
Come on. Matthias, you know what it is. Oh man, you've been tested on this. You got it right. Alec, what is it?
It's knowing where your body parts are in relation to
The rest of the world.
the rest of the world.
Yeah, perfect.
50%.
Nice, perfect. So my definition of safety is knowing or being aware of where all my body parts are in relation to everything else in the world, especially moving saw blades, sharp chisels, utility knives, all the stuff that can really see that. Can you guys all see that? I can do that basically, if I just brush something, this is what happens to blood thins. I've had a heart attack, so I have blood thinner, stuff like that. So your skin gets thin, so everything is an accident waiting to happen for me. So I have to be really careful and try to be as safe as I possibly can. And so knowing where I am and where my body parts are in relation to other things allows me to keep safe, because knowing where they are in relation to, I know that I don't want to touch things that it shouldn't be touched. By recognizing the unsafe act or condition, we can effectively remove the exposure to them. The following deadly dozen are reminders to help you recognize unsafe acts or conditions. Guide for discussion. Unsafe acts. 1, unauthorized use of operation of equipment. I don't know how much I agree with that. 2, failure to secure or tie down materials to prevent unexpected movement. 3, working or operating equipment too fast. 4, failure to issue warnings or signals as required. 5, using defective tools or equipment. 6, removing guards. 7, improperly using tools or equipment. 8, standing in an unsafe place or assuming an improper posture, as in lifting. Yeah, lifting. Boy, people lift badly. As lifting with your legs and straight, not bending over. Bad way to lift. Bending over. Servicing, number 8, servicing moving equipment. That's 9. 10, riding equipment not designed for passengers. 11, horseplay. 12, failure to wear the proper personal protective equipment, PPE. And then those are unsafe acts. And then unsafe conditions are lack of proper guards, lack of a proper warning system, fire and explosion hazards, poor housekeeping, that's my pet peeve, unexpected movements, protruding objects such as nails, wire, or other metals, improper clearance or congestion at aisles or passageways, poor placement, storage, or arrangement of materials, hazardous tools, equipment, or materials, poor lighting, high noise levels, hazardous atmospheric conditions, improper personal attire. And then remember, be able to recognize the conditions or acts as we just discussed. You can effectively correct or avoid them and reduce your personal exposure to the general causes of accidents. So this would be something you do as a tailgate safety meeting, and then there's a place here for attendees to sign. So it would be documented. So there's our safety meeting. Anybody want to chime in on that? Questions? And something anecdotal about, oh yeah, I remember when I removed that guard and cut my finger off. Remember that? No? So I am all in favor of guards. I don't peg the guard on my skill saw ever. I have guards on every tool except the table saw. I just won't have a guard on the table saw, even though I put my finger through the table saw without a guard. But I do things on the table saw that I do a lot of things on the table saw, and I'm very aware where that blade is, and I want to see that blade all the time. And I haven't seen a guard yet that didn't get in the way of me seeing the blade. So I've had some bad experiences with guards, which is the reason why when we are in the shop, if you guys are ever in the shop with me and we're doing some hands-on stuff, you can virtually use every tool I use, but you can't use the table saw because it doesn't have a guard. And I can't let anything happen. I don't want anything to happen to anybody, period, anyway, but God forbid, without the guard that I took off, it was never really on it. I never have seen a guard on it, so I think there is one somewhere. Okay, so let's go to, unfortunately, me and maybe you guys too. I'm going to go back to modules. And then I have the 13th edition. Oh. Okay. So I don't. Yeah, I do. I'm sorry, I do. So I have 12. I have 12 and 13 up here, don't I? Beginning construction trades, that's a word, that's this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know, I got it in beginning finished carpentry. Yeah, so, okay, so I've got, but I can't project it for you. So, well, still. Let's see what we got here. Chapter resources, Jim was talking about, he got you through wall frame. Don't know what's going on. Okay, here we go. Wall and ceiling framing. So that he did take you through, did he walk you through in the book? Did he took you through that? Pardon me?
Flooring is. as
So
far
you
as-
did, you got to floor framing? All right. So in wall framing, the objectives of the, and actually, yeah, the objectives of the wall framing chapter. And then if you have, and 13, it's 13, I think wall framing is 11, and I think it's the same in 12 as well. Yeah, it is the same. Yeah, 11, it's 11 and 11. So anyway, objectives of that chapter, and when you read that chapter and understand the chapter, you will be able to identify the main parts of a wall frame. You'll be able to explain the methods of forming the outside corners and partition intersections of wall frames. Do you know what I'm talking about? Wall frames would be your stud walls, right? And you'll understand how to form outside corners. There's basically 4 ways to form corners. And I have some handouts, which I'll try to get together. I don't have them with me. I did it for a framing class. I have really good handouts on California corner, traditional corner. Then this will, you'll see partitions and intersections where perpendicular walls come into walls. He'll show how rough openings are handled in wall construction, explain plate and stud layout, and describe the construction and erection of wall sections and partitions. Now, who knows what a rough opening is? It's on, but it's not on. Pardon me? I don't think that's going to help, but hit the lights just for grins. No, it didn't help. Now I got to see all over again. What did I just ask you?
Rough opening.
Yeah, who knows what a rough opening is? What's a rough opening?
It's.
Did you learn this last night?
What?
Did you learn this last night? That's a rough opening.
It's pretty much an opening that gets framed in through a window or a door before the window or door is put in.
Well, yeah, that's correct, but it doesn't get framed in, it gets framed, right? So a rough opening is the opening that's called out or specified for a particular door or window that goes in that wall. So the opening is always going to have an RO, and that's all, as a framer, that's all you care about. If you're framing that opening is the RO. What's the RO? There are some standard ROs. Generally in windows, the RO is given by the manufacturer, and they're all slightly different. Like some are the call out plus a ½ inch on width and 3/4 on the height. And the different window manufacturers and door manufacturers do have some variation in how they call out their rough openings or how their rough openings are done. But a standard and typical rough opening, and not so much windows, because windows are way more specific to the brand of window. But in doors, interior doors especially, less about exterior doors. You can pretty much say the same thing about exterior doors, but you do have thresholds to take into account for the height. But rough openings for interior doors are 2 inches over the call out in width and 2 inches over the call out in height. So that means if you have a 2/4, 6/8 door, your rough opening is 30 inches, right? 2'4" is 28. That's your call out. Add 2 inches in that, that's 30 inches wide. 6'8" is 80 inches. That's the size of the door. Add 2 inches of that, that's 82. So an 82-inch high header is standard throughout any place that you've got 80-inch or 6'8" doors. And generally, most places have 6'8" doors. Doors then go to 7'0", you go to 7'6" and 8'0" in some of your tonier homes, your nicer, expensive, non-secret type homes. You might have 7'0" and 8'0" doors. You might even have all 8'0" doors, even some 10'0" doors and stuff like that. But generally, your standard doors are 6'8", and so your rule of thumb and the rough opening call out is 2 inches over the call out in the width. For instance, 30-inch door, right? It's 2'6", call it 2'6", 6'8". And by the way, call outs for doors and windows are always done a particular way. How is that? What is that way? Anybody? What's particular? Width is always first. So a 3068 is a 3 foot wide by 6'8" tall door. It's never a 6830. And now that's kind of obvious, but that window is an 8040. If you call that out a 4080, you'd have a whole different picture. This is only an 8 foot ceiling. No, probably 6. That might even be just 8 feet. You'd have a lot of trouble getting it in. So width's always called out first. So and the call out is what the door is. The call out would be, like I said, a 2668 would be a 30-inch by 80-inch door, and that goes in 2 inches over on your rough opening, allows you 2 pieces of 3/4 jam material. That equals 1.5 inches, and that leaves you a 1/2 inch to spread between the 2 sides, between the trimmer stud, and the back of the jams to shim, to get that thing dead plumb, dead square in that opening, in that rough opening. Got that? Any questions about that? Questions? Okay, no. So a rough opening is very important. You know, you get your, usually you'll have a door schedule, and your door schedule will tell you what your doors are. And the interior doors, your framers will know to do that 2 inches over call out.
You said we're gonna hang a door, or you should watch that guy hang a door in
Yeah.
in your other class.
Yeah.
You don't do anything like that in this class, though, right?
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
Seeing as how this is the first time I ever taught this class, no, I'm not planning on doing it. I don't think Jim is planning on doing it. If anybody wanted to see that, it's on my YouTube channel, there's a video of Jerry doing it.
Will you do the tieback in this class?
We'll have tieback presenters in this class, yes.
That
Just one.
average jam thickness on a pre-hung door is 1/2 inch.
No, jam thickness is 3/4, although they might be 5/8 or 11/16, but you count on them being 3/4. That's what the 2 inches over is. 3/4, then a 1/2 inch shim space. That's your 2 inches. The 1/2 inch is your shim space. And then on your height, you only have the one head jam, right? But you want it about 5/8 off the floor, off your finished floor if you're dropping down the finished floor. So there's your 3/4, and then your, say, 3/4, so that's 1.5 inches, and then again another 1/2 inch of shim space at the top to be able to put that jam leg up. To get your, because doors and windows are all set dead plumb and dead levels. Cabinets as well, dead plumb, dead level, and square. And they should be square to begin with, but they need to do that. And your framing might not always be dead plumb or dead level. Tyler, are you still with us?
Yeah,
Did
I am.
Pause the recording.
No, you can hear me, right?
Tyler, are you there?
Hey, you can't hear me?
That's right. None of you can see this screen anyway, so somebody at my door. Tyler, are you still here?
Rod, can you hear this?
Yeah, okay, I hear you now. I
Okay,
just, I
great.
had the volume turned down. Okay, I got you. What was I asking, Tyler? Do you remember what I was asking? Something. Oh, I know, if I was still recording. So I am recording this. Okay. Yeah, I didn't pause it for the break. I meant to, but I will often forget to do that, to restart it. Okay, so continuing on the objectives, to be able to, you want to be able to, we're going to be able to list the materials commonly used for sheathing a building, demonstrate the process of ceiling frame construction, explain the benefits of using advanced framing, explain what CIPs are and how they're erected. Those are structural insulated panels, I'm guessing. SIPs panels, structural insulated panels. They're pre-insulated, pre-made wall panels, and how they're erected, and then how to estimate materials required for wall frames, ceiling frames, sheathing, studs, and headers. Wall framing is vertical and horizontal members that support outside and inside walls. Oh yeah, that's what I gotta tell you. So the next break, oh, and by the way, it's just between us. I hope to never keep you here till 9 o'clock. I hope for us to get out. So depending on you know, if we get going on something, you know, we may go longer than this. It just depends. And so we'll go for a while, and then we'll have a break. And then I'll shoot myself some pictures. I took a bunch of pictures of this site I was at today. I'm gonna tell you what site. I'm gonna show you some pictures of it. And I can't project it. I can't show you some. So maybe next week. But I went to this site today that's that I had filmed. I did some videos of last year when, you know, it was all when COVID was really happening, and I was just doing labs with videos. I was going out a day or two before and finding places and filming them, and then downloading them on YouTube, and then showing them to the class. But this house is estimated, I think they estimated a $7 million construction cost. It's probably going to be closer to that.
Is it on Woodley?
No, not that one. That's 160 million. Yeah, construction costs, $160 million. That's a 300-foot diameter concrete dome. You seen it?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
I
it's
used to
not
work right there.
really. So you know that house, you know it's next to it. That's 529 Woodley Road, and next to it on Woodley Road is the old Brooks Montecito campus. So Brooks is no longer around here, and they have a campus on APS, which is old. Can't remember the name of the school it was.
Kind of our middle school.
No, well, they're there too, but no, it was the school it was. They have that campus, they have some other satellite campuses, but the Montecito campus is this beautiful mansion. It's all, you know, masonry, and I did some remodeling there. So it was concrete ceilings and just really, really incredible place built in the 20s or 30s. And they complained about the noise on the 529 Woodley, the $160 million construction cost. And the people that own that just bought it, made it an offer they couldn't resist, bought it. Make all the noise they want. Now they just park cars there. Unbelievable. So this project that I went to today is being run by the project managers of a very old friend of mine, Duncan Brown, that used to work for me, and we worked together. We did a lot of really fun projects. And I went up there ostensibly because he called me up and said, hey, I have this helix. And actually, it's not really a helix, because I have this staircase, this circular staircase that, you know, I just did it. Who's doing it? And you know, who could I get to do it? And I said, well, I'm interested, you know, because that's kind of where I left when I was hands-on wearing a belt. Where I left the industry to start directing the work was doing. I did staircases, curved staircases, curved staircases, and handrails. Kind of got a niche there. It was a pretty good niche, and very challenging and exciting, and did some really cool stuff with Duncan, and I did some really nice handrails, curving staircases and curving handrails. So I said, well, I got to see it, because I hadn't seen the site for a while. And it's it's going to go to $10 million construction cost, which makes it seem like a drop in the bucket compared to $160 million, but it's like a 23% grade on this, 23% slope on the site. 23% slope. Can you picture that? So San Marcos Pass has a 6% grade. This is 23%. It's 4 times steeper than the steepest part of going down San Marcos Pass. It's steep. I fell one more time on my butt going down that damn hill. Last time I was there, I fell too. And I just missed cracking my elbow on a piece of heavy equipment that I fell next to. But at any rate, the house is unreal. It has all these levels and elevator and motor courts and infinity pool. It's just over the top, and it's complex. It's all get out. The foundation is so complex. The moment frames, the steel, the amount of concrete. So do you know what a rock clause is? Anybody know what a rock clause is? In construction, when you give someone a price to do any excavation whatsoever, right? You have a rock clause, because do you know what's under the top of the ground? No, you don't know. You don't have any idea. I mean, you might have a soils report, so you might have some idea of what's happening, but you really can't see what's going on. So there's always a standard rock clause, which says, I'll do X for X unless we hit a big ass rock that's bigger than, so it usually describes how big. And then you stop the presses, and then it goes on T&M, or the job gets the price gets added to based on how much you got to deal with the rock clause. And some of the pictures I have of they're into $495,000 to date. This thing is not even out of the ground. It's coming out of the ground, but they've spent $500,000 on rock clause. And you see, I'm standing in this excavation, you can see bedrock from about this high. It's just chipped out, just sheer straight rock all the way down to this deck. It's a giant boulder, and this is where foundation walls go. So they have to just chip it and break it and chip it and chip it and chip it. And they have to stage stuff down on these levels, and they have to crane stuff down just to get a lumber drum. So HFR framers are there now framing. These are the guys that framed the last house I built. Really good guys. They really know this stuff. Just to get a lumber drop to build on they're building around the pool house, which is the bottom level. It takes 3 subs, basically a half a day, to get the lumber done. They got Schwann Brothers, who have one of their pieces of equipment. They're doing all the excavation. They have Kenny Construction, KCI, is doing all the foundation work. They have a couple of their guys and another 1 or 2 pieces of equipment to fairly large skid steer, getting these parallels, backing down super steep grade down to here, and then they put a couple of tag lines and some lines on it and get it on another bigger grade all, and kind of lift it and then drop it onto this level, and then I don't know how they're going to get it down. But that's just to get some lumber down that they can frame. So the site's super tough, and it's a really complex job. And I was hoping to show you some pictures of it, but next week I'll show you pictures.
How do these guys, come up with a bid for that? Because there's so much extra.
It's really a good question. I just have no idea, because it's not T&M. I think Dennis Allen, it's Allen Construction, are the contractors. I'm pretty sure they have a cost plus contract. So their contract is cost plus, but then they have to get the subs to give pricing. In other words, you can't just say, hey, we like you as a sub, go to town, and then just send us the bills. That's just not how it works. There's, budgets are a big thing. People want to know what they're spending. So yeah, I don't know how they do it, man. I mean, there's stuff like it's just a super hard construction project. I mean, nothing about this is easy, nor is it simple. Like, for instance, we're gonna touch on all the stuff that we've been talking about. We're gonna touch on, because we're talking about, this is beginning construction trades. We want to give you a big overview of this thing called construction trades, which is a giant thing. It's all the trades that go into making buildings. So and they're all important, and all the trades, all the stuff, these are all important components of a building, and a very obviously very important. Dude, you have facial hair, unbelievable. Who would have known? I did mask. It's plumbing, right? Plumbing. So I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to give you the game on plumbing right now. I'm going to tell you the 4 things that you need to know about plumbing. 4 things you need to know about plumbing, and you will know them just like every plumber will know. And here they are. In the first place, this isn't one of the 4, but every fixture takes water waste vent, right? Every fixture takes water waste vent. So those are the 3 things. Every fixture takes water waste vent. And the 4th thing is shit rolls downhill at 1/4 inch to a foot. Let's just say excrement rolls downhill 1/4 inch to a foot. Those are the 4 things. Every plumbing fixture takes water waste vent. And the most important thing is usually waste, because it's not that tough usually to get water places to a fixture, nor is it tough to vent. Every fixture has to be vented. Every fixture gets water. Every fixture gets vented to above the roof line, and above the roof, and every fixture gets waste. And waste is the hard one, right? Because waste sometimes, and you got to have 1/4 inch to a foot. You got to have the fall. So waste. All your waste pipes are set up at 1/4 inch to a foot. Now you can go less than 1/4 inch to a foot if you need to, but no less than a 1/16 to a foot, and you don't want to go much more.
I was just gonna ask if you could go more, like if you're on a.
So
Yeah,
that's an
so-
excellent question. So, we got this, right? Isn't it better then to go like have way more than 1/4 inch to a foot? No, why? Why would steeper not be as good as
The liquid travels faster than the sun.
liquids outpace your solids? When you get too steep a fall, and you start getting solids that don't make it down because your liquid just goes right on by. So you want that stuff to travel at the same pace. So you want 1/4 inch to a foot. In some cases, you have some fixed elevations you don't have. In other words, you have your main sewer lateral connection here, and you have where you're leaving the house here, and that X translates to maybe well over 1/4 inch to a foot. So you've got to try to get it to 1/4 inch to a foot to where it drops off and sort of waterfalls over the edge down. That's typically how people do it, is you go 1/4 inch to a foot to where you're pretty much almost over your mainline sewer. And so here's something really cool. You seen all the laterals happening now? That's a big thing, lateral replacement, because our city sewer system is aging. And a lot of our laterals are going away, and a lot of our laterals are not ABS. So who knows what ABS is? ABS is,
Oh, yeah, it's like that black plastic pipe.
is that what you said? Black?
Yeah.
It stands for, you know what it stands for? ABS? Can't think of what it stands for, but it's the black pipe that waste. Did you get it?
No, that's
Not coming up?
ABS pipe.
So it's the black pipe. It's the black pipe that is your waste, right? And it's pretty impervious. If it's buried, not exposed to the sun, where the sun and UVs and can dry out stuff. When it's buried, it's pretty impervious. We don't know how long it lasts. We haven't recorded how long it's been in use. It's only been in use, it hasn't been in use 100 years, maybe 70 or 80 years. But all the stuff that we put in place stays in place, as opposed to cast iron, which corrodes and goes away. I just had to replace a whole bunch of cast iron waste under my house. It was just, I just looked under there. I have a cellar. Went down, I looked in there, and I found this water, and I was, what the fuck's water there? And just rusted out, bottom of my cast iron type, and so the liquids had been slipping for a long time. So cast iron goes away, the rusting goes away. Orangeburg and Bermica, which were asphalt impregnated masonite paper stuff, and that's Orangeburg. Bermica was like a clay pipe. And clay pipe is pretty good, actually. What you find is that roots like to get into the joints of clay pipe because they're not glued. It's a press bit with that O-ring that eventually goes away. So all those Bermica and Orangeburg Orangeburg's the clay, Vermica's the asphalt impregnated paper. All those laterals are going away. The laterals are your mainline sewer is all the waste connections go to one place mainline that goes out to the main sewer. That's the lateral from your house to the main city sewer, usually in the street. They're failing. Roots have taken them. They've corroded, they've collapsed because they're Orangeburg or Vermica. So the city is encouraging you, anytime you have any work on, is to replace laterals, and they have some incentives for it. And if it's a new place, like the place I just built, where we pretty much tore down the house, you have to do a new lateral. That was part of the deal. It's like you couldn't not do a new lateral. So knowing all that, I came home one day and there was a notice on my front door from Public Works saying that they were going to be replacing the mainline sewer system. They didn't say anything about my lateral. And in the case of my house, I live in San Roque, my sewer goes to the back of my property and it backs up to other properties. And so this mainline sewer it goes behind the properties. And so they told me that they were going to go into the corner of my property, which would be the southeast corner, which is a 4-foot high CMU wall, concrete masonry units, some people call it cinder block, 4-foot high CMU wall, and then 3-foot of chain link, and then this much edge, climbing fig, and there's some ivy hedge. So it's real thick, you know. My hedges and those are probably this thick, and they're 12 feet tall. They were going to take out 7 feet this way from the corner and 7 feet this way from the corner. And they were going to, that's what they needed to take out and bring all this equipment back there. And that's the part they were going to, do that part to my place to get the sewer line going. And then also said they weren't going to put it back. That was going to be on me. Oh, my dead body, you're going to do that. So, I made a big stink about it, and it wasn't so much me making a big stink about it. They would have done, they have eminent domain, they can do whatever they want. But what they did do, they didn't do that. They didn't do that to me, and they didn't do that to anybody else. What they did, I thought, was completely amazing. They came in and parked in front of my neighbor, the neighbor right next door to me. They parked this giant rig. And on this giant rig is a giant boiler and a giant compressor. It's like half of it's this giant boiler configuration. We're not talking about a rig that's from here to that wall and half again. So classroom and a half. Long rig. I mean, and really big hoses. And they drug these hoses back all the way back to my neighbor's property goes like this, to dead corner. There's a telephone pole here, and there's a manhole cover, and then there's that part of my hedge, and then my property's right here, so I could actually see them through. I could kind of peek through my hedge, but I wanted to watch them do this. And what they did was they pulled the manhole cover. And they brought they first had their giant hoses, and they had it hooked up to the compressor. So they had compressed air, right? And they blew up a mandrel. A mandrel and a camera. They snaked up a camera. It's a 6-inch. It's a pretty big mainline sewer line. So they went up and they looked at all of the camera, and then they blew up a mandrel, and the mandrel kind of cleans it all out, just makes it all nice and gets it all nice and clean. And then they took this thing that was squished about like this, fiberglass, resin impregnated fiberglass, right? And they fed that, and then with compressed air blew it and fed it, and the compressed air, kept it going up the pipe, and they took it 600 feet, right? This whole thing on a big roll, this big thing going off, and the compressor is blowing this thing up there. Okay, so now it's all blown up. So then same hose, they disconnect that hose from the compressor, and they put it over on a boiler. Now they blow steam through the hose. And steam blows up that fiberglass, that resin impregnated fiberglass. It's hot, steam, which catalyzes it, makes it go off. And then, so it completely coats the inside of the pipe, 6-inch main sewer waste. And then when it goes off with this thick, hard fiberglass. And then they go back in with some little robotic tools and a camera, and they locate the laterals. They know where they are. All the laterals have come in at me, and they cut them out. They dress them with these little robotic tools. They pull out, and they're done. No excavation, no tearing out my walls, no backfilling. They sleeve the pipe. Pretty cool way to go. And they do that all over the place where, because even in the middle of the street, they got to bust up the street and dig down. The sewers are deep. It's very,
If your laterals went out, could they use that system to replace your lateral?
I was just going to get to that. That's a really good question because it's a different system, but it's similar. And it's called pipe bursting. So you've heard it and you've seen it. You've heard of it and you've seen it. It's called trenchless sewers. You've seen them advertise on their vans, trenchless, right? It's this guy, the one I like is the guy with the wings and like he's the angel. So they don't have to take and bust up your driveway and your sidewalk and all your hardscape and your landscape and dig this super deep trench and cut into the street and all that crap. What they do is they set up a place, dig a hole, mount this machine, and they locate your pipe and they burst it. They burst your pipe, that existing pipe, and then they sleeve in. As they burst it, they just lay in this flexible pipe. It's a little different. They don't use the steam and all the jazz, but that's how they do it. They go on where your pipe was, they burst it, and they go right inside of it with this new pipe, and it ties in. So you still have to make a hole in the street. It's a lot cheaper. So yeah, they've come a ways in that technology, and it's interesting because a lot of this, the infrastructure that we're talking about there's a lot of it you never see, in the house. There's so much you do see, but there's like probably 4 or 5 times as more than what you see that you don't see. All the stuff that supports everything that's in your unconditioned spaces and your sewers and your all those there's a word I'm dropping it now. Well, let's do this. It's 10 to 8. Come back at 8. And then we'll just talk for 15 minutes or so. We'll get out of here. Okay. I'll get you out of here by 8:15. And did Hudson make it? No, Hudson Moyne? Can't really project it.
Considering all.
Yep.
I don't know.
Feeling pretty good. Yeah. So, I'm going in, kind of juggling different sets right now. I'm trying to get everything in a fluid state. Yeah, yeah, a little bit. So, yeah, quite the learning experience. Trying to juggle everything.
Really spending on cabinets for
The install alone is like. Several purchases.
Okay. Contemplating opening up a new branch in Glendale. I said just for the front counter, so 35 grand.
Wow. Awesome. Is that like a filtration system?
There's a you're using spice work, but they're a chain. Leave that in downtown. and then Valley.
A specific.
It's a different town.
Oh,
Where you would check out.
Oh, okay, like you
Long
build that,
calendar.
that's how much it costs. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was just curious.
Yeah.
I remember when we took the drive on King. Getting cabinets and you like big use.
Yeah, it's not cheap. I mean, you get the whole project.
I guess with mine.
I don't think that includes in time.
Oh, just for
Yeah. Which is cool. Cabinet installed and purchase. Marble, backsplash,
But I'm going with Marvel.
countertops, tile floor. Now you need to cut floor and go up. Five floor.
What kind of tile?
Cement. It's like a cement. Let's see.
What about Marvel?
No. This isn't again back on Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I came on Sunday like that.
Fresh. Yeah, creme fresh. That was.
You just drink till I
Yeah.
ate good.
It was, that island top, I wanted to take that up there. Like, it was all, like, but it was a maple fishing block. Where we used like 3.5 inch, like 1.5 by 3.5 inch pieces all sewn down and jointed and glued up really tight together. You just take the one.
You would put that in your studio.
Oh, you're gonna need like a sleeve workbench with it. Like, have you ever seen those ones that have like the, without like 3/4 inch holes in it for clamping? Yeah.
Where would you put it?
Probably not. Yeah. Yeah. Not really.
Maybe the next remodel.
Yeah, next job hopefully. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Small victories are good. Yeah, that was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. You're heading up town this weekend, right?
Well, it's time to get back. Are you back?
Any good weather out there right now?
It's sunny. Blue sky days.
Very super slushy.
Yeah, it's been warm. Not a lot of snow.
One in March.
Probably be a little crowded too.
At least not a holiday.
It'd be nice to get out of town.
Well, they all came. So. Turn off the light for a second. Or one of them, turn off one of the two. That's just one of the levels. You see that? And then, let's see. That's bedrock though. From there to there, that's chipped bedrock. And there will be a continuation of this foundation wall. That wall there will continue this way. It's just, you know, these giant moment frames. That, I don't know if you know what a moment frame is. I'm not going to spend too much time on moment frames right now, but it's a principle in the framing where usually moment frames are steel, but they take the stress and weight of a pretty big member. I've never seen moment frames. This is 1 inch thick steel. These I-beams are 1 inch thick steel I-beams. I've never, the guy that is building this, that friend of mine, there's more steel in this one single family home than in this 7-story apartment building that he built with 175 units and 4 floors of underground parking garage. There's more steel in this one home, and that was in Seattle. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So I'll show you these. I'll show you these next week.
Where's this one?
Pardon me?
Where's this house at?
You know Mountain Drive?
Yeah.
If you take Hot Springs all the way up to Mountain Drive and then turn east, turn right, you go maybe 500 yards and it's Oak Creek Canyon Ranch. It's on the uphill side. It's just a bunch of insane homes. Places are just, they're just nuts. Nuts in terms of, like, this is, I don't know how much you can see. No, but this is a rendering. See that. That place we're looking at is right there. There's the pool. This pool house, this is all being framed. This is the main level. This is the elevator here that comes up to the motor court. I mean, it's just, I mean, if you got the dough, that's what you should be building. Not should be. Why not? Why not? I say.
Hot Springs? Not on Hot
Mountain
Springs,
Drive.
right?
Mountain Drive, yeah, up Hot Springs and then east. Yeah, just, you know, that's that area is really quite the place. See, okay, let's see. Online instructor resources. Okay, here we go. Think. All right. And Tyler, you're seeing all this, huh?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, good. Yeah, this is a pretty good presentation, actually. Oh, okay. I went right under roofs. When did I do that? Okay. Actually, trying to remember how that. I gotta get out of this. Yeah, go back to 11. Come on. Oh, man, this ain't right. Not gonna let me. Is it? No. Maybe. And show. And that's why. So here's where we were. Wait. It did the same thing. Okay, now maybe this is it. Yeah. So wall framing, nail sizes, partitions do not carry any structural load. when you talk about, we talk about wall framing and walls, some walls carry loads or load bearing, some walls are not. And if it's walls not load bearing, then you can call it a partition. Parts of a wall frame: sole plates, top plates, studs, headers, and sheathing. Trimmer studs bear the direct weight of the header. Did you go over that stuff with you? Wall framing? Basis of a wall frame? No? Okay, so since I can't project it, let's just do this. This is a wall. What you got in a wall is when you frame a wall, you frame it with a single top. You frame it with a bottom plate. This is not necessarily a mud sill, it's bottom plate. A lot of bottom plate on exterior walls, your bottom plate will normally be pressure treated mud sill, PTMS. Interior, not so important. It's not on an exterior wall, but bottom plates are single, and there is a movement, especially in it's driven in California. A lot of it has to do with green building, to do single top plates, to get rid of that whole top plate. Really, depending upon the size of the house, it's, can be 50, 100, 200, 300, 400 lineal feet of 2x4. It's not that much. I prefer double top plates. I will never frame, I shouldn't say never, always frame with a double top plate, because you frame with a single top plate. And then when you have a perpendicular wall, so if you look down on a wall with a perpendicular wall coming into it, as that wall comes into it, that wall's plate goes on top of that plate. So that double top plate goes there, stops goes there. So it ties in your perpendicular wall. So top plate, double top plate, single bottom plate, stud, wall studs. Wall studs are generally every 16 inches in center. Anybody know why? Well, I know you know, man. Why would studs be 16 cents?
Oh, for your floor joists.
And why did you make the lousiest cut? You know more. So yeah. So sheathing, walls are sheeted. We're sheeted on the outside with usually CDX, half-inch CDX, always. There's so much shear called out, and you can't just shear a wall and not shear part of a wall. So we sheet entire structures, and then we sheet the insides with drywall. So all those sheet goods are 4x8s. It can be 4x12s too, but that 4 foot is the thing. So 4 foot breaks in 16, 32, 48, right? Center, right? That's why it's 4 4x8 sheets. That's what 16 centers. And it's been determined engineer-wise that that's the span that you should take to keep it together and not have too wide a spans and have a wall that could be squishy. So you've got studs, right? These are common studs. And then when you've got an opening, let's say you got a window, right? In a window or a door, what you've got is you've got a king stud that's plate to plate. And then, so let's say this is a 3040. Let's say this is a 4030 window. Okay, 4030. So we're going to come over here from our king stud. We're going to come over. We're going to come over 5 inches. We come over 5 inches plus our call out. So our call out is a 40 window, so 4 foot 5, 53 inches over, and we're going to put another king stud, which is plate to plate, right? King stud, king stud. And then at 82 inches, and in the case of this were my place, I would put my headers at 84, all my exterior headers at 84. So at 84 inches off finished floor or off rough floor, we're gonna put, that'll be the bottom of a header beam. And that'll be sized by the engineer to carry that opening. Since you don't have studs and there's an opening, that header is sized to carry the weight. And let's just say, in this case, it's a 4x8, it's 4-foot opening. And the reason why this is plus 5 inches, can anybody tell me? I've already told you.
The rough opening is, what did you say the rough opening is gonna be?
Is the
48?
call out, well,
Yeah.
it's a 4.0 window. So the rough opening on a 4.0 window is gonna be 4.2.
Yeah, so,
And-
and then you add it for the
The
trimmers.
trimmers, right? One trimmer on either side, 1.5 trimmers makes 3 inches, plus your 2 inches over, that's your 5 inches over on the opening, right? So at 5 inches over 4, it comes in, oh, and we come up and do our rough sill. And we'll measure down that 3 foot plus, in this case, 3.5 inches. That's 2 inches over. Well, in this case, we probably have a call out on the window, so let's not, I don't want to get hung up in the numbers. I'm giving you the nomenclature. Rough sill, finish rough sill, trimmer, and we should, the trimmers go all the way down, generally, to the plate. They can go down to the sill, depends on who's framing it. So the trimmer studs hold up the header beam. The king studs go plate to plate, and the header is nailed through the king studs into the header, end of the header. And then the trimmer studs go below the header and they support the header more than just nails. And that carries it all the way down to the plate. And then you have the rough sill in between, you know, the second rough sill, usually do 2 sills, and the header. And then these are called cripple studs. 16 centers again. And these are also called cripple studs. So bottom plate, top plates. And then I'll show you a corner, but not tonight. We're gonna be through soon. Stud, king, trimmer, header, cripple. Get the picture? There's a few more things to framing, but that's your basic wall.
Why is it that you don't do a, like another stud against the trimmer, like the fourth still?
You would trim underneath the sill, that window too.
Okay.
Yeah, you put a trimmer under that, you would do exactly that. It wouldn't just depend on the 2 nails holding up that rough sill. You'd put a trimmer under that too. But it's not gonna matter a whole hell of a lot, because again, you do have studs under it. So
Right.
16 over, so you could do the cantilever. So you'd be fine if you didn't put a trimmer under it.
Yeah.
And it's not necessary to put a trimmer under it. But it's not a bad idea. And as a matter of fact, it's probably, yeah, you would do that. You'd put a trimmer underneath your rough sill for sure. Triple stud, sill plate, trimmer, jack stud. So trimmers are also called jack studs. Double top plates. OSB or plywood is used for exterior walls. Wall studs can be purchased 92 5/8. Pre-cut studs. Guys see that? 92 5/8. You guys know them, you know about that? Guys and gal, 92 5/8. So your typical typical walls finish at 8 feet, actually 8 5/8, really, to or 8.5. Let's see how it adds up. So a 92 5/8 wall stud also gets 3 inches of plates, top plate, 1.5 inches of bottom plate. That's 4.5, right? So 4.5 that's 90, what? 6, so 97 and an eighth, right? that right? Yeah, yeah, 4.5, so 96.5. So 97 1/8. And 97 1/8 allows for 5/8 drywall in the ceiling. Now we're down to 96.5, and that gives you 96.5, and that gives you that 1/2 inch that you don't want your drywall on the deck. You want your drywall up. That gives you the 1/2 inch to push your drywall up, or if your floor's got more goodness to it. Right? If you wind up with this 96.5 after your 5, and by the way, when you're hanging rock, you always hang the ceilings first. Never, ever, ever hang the walls first. You hang the ceilings, and then usually your wall supports that part of the ceiling. Ceilings go up first, then walls. Buying pre-cut studs saves cutting time on the job. Boy, that's a fact, as you might imagine. And then here's corners. Now, they can be built from 3 full studs. They can be blocking or no blocking. There's just a lot of framing. We're not going to get into it. We're gonna go. Man. We're gonna go. So, do we have any questions? Anything you want to ask me about what we've talked about, or what you can expect, or what's coming up? Okay, so I'll just tell you that next Saturday, that's in 1, 2, 3 days, you don't have a class. Right? So don't show up anywhere.
Saturday?
Pardon me?
On Saturday?
Yeah, school's closed. It's President's Day. Yeah, why ask why? Is it really? Yeah, it's President's Day. They closed the school. So there is no class on Saturday. So your next class for CT111 is next Wednesday, a week from today. More than likely, Jim will be teaching it. We haven't figured out how we're doing this yet. He and I will do it this week. So it could possibly be me. Ideally, I think what we're going to do is that I will do a Wednesday and a Saturday, and then the next week I'll have Wednesday and Saturday. I'll have the whole week off rather than do Wednesday, Saturday. So you won't see either of us this Saturday, but next Wednesday you may see me, you may see Jim. He'll probably finish up a little bit with roof framing, and then he wants to get right into it. Okay. Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. Can't wait to go through this semester with you.
Right here.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I learned to do it with a hazelnut or sap. Just turns down, man. I mean, it turns down.
Figure out why it works.
Did you Google any explanation?
I did, yeah. Well, I found guys who would do it, but they couldn't really explain the science. There's got to be something
There's got to be.
other than witchcraft, right?
Hey, Tyler, see you for sure. Good to see you, Alec.
Yep.
Hey, say hi to John. Say hi to everybody for me, will you?
Will do.
Tell him I gotta come up. I owe him a trip up there.
Yeah, come by, see.
I will. Anytime you want to pick up leaves at my house, let me know.
Have you worked for him? Oh, I cleaned his windows. I cleaned out his tenant's apartment, or at least tried to.
Oh my God, that's right. Forgot about that. I forgot about that.
It was interesting.
Okay, nice meeting you.
I sold that place.
Where did she end up? She said
She died. She died.
No.
Yeah, she went to a friendship and she died. See you, Frank.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, she died last year.
She didn't get COVID or anything.
No, she was pretty bad.
Yeah.
She just kind of, she got to Friendship Manor, and then I kept trying to make contact with her, and then she just,
She was.
she croaked. God.
You got this.
Damn, man. Mary Sue is beyond.
2 or 3 copies of every book. Couldn't see. them.
We couldn't throw anything out.
Why would you have article copies? I
You
mean,
can't believe the shit she did.
but the mindset, like, hey, you
Yeah.
have 3 copies of this book, and she'd say, oh, well, I think when I get to the other place, I'll probably sell the other ones, or, try to trade them with people, so I'll hold on to them for now.
Yeah.
I would like hold up a book and be like, hey, do you want to keep this? And I'd throw